This is all about the song.
Welcome to the 132nd episode of All About the Song. I am your host, Michael McDonnell, and thank you for joining us. On the podcast today, we're doing something different. We are having 4 guests on. We're doing 4 mini episodes. The guests are Adam Machado, Dellen Gray, Jong and Nelson Sobral. The first 3 are up-and-coming artists. I've met them all in Adam is from New York. Dellen is from Toronto. She's someone I found on Instagram who I really enjoyed. Or maybe she contacted us. But anyways, same. And Jong was presented to me by a podcast producer of All About the Song, Brian Leung. It was funny. I was looking through the emails and I realized that we had kind of penciled an episode to do, I think, in like September. So it was good to get that one done. And I'm sorry, Jong, that it took so long. But we just thought it would be kind of cool to give you a bit of like a flavor saver or just some mini episodes, and to also catch up with Nelson, who had been on the podcast about a year ago, and he has a new song out called Pendulum. So you'll hear more of me through this episode than normal, as I'll introduce each one separately. At leadoff, we have a wonderful young drummer from the New York State area. I first found Adam because he was doing drum covers of Shawn Mendes songs, which featured, live versions have Mike Sleeth, who is one of my very best friends, and he has been on the podcast 3 times. He's the performing drummer with Shawn Mendes, and Mike shared some of his videos and stuff. It was really cool to see. And since then, we've become fast friends of Adam at this podcast. He did a cover of Little Drummer Boy for our Christmas special, or our holiday special, on the Sounds Like Songs Network, which, of course, if you are watching us now on YouTube, be sure to hit the subscription button and the notification button. We put out our episodes every Tuesday. And without further ado, the drummer of the Freedom Rockets, here is Adam Machado. Thank you so much for being on the podcast, Adam. I gotta say, you've been a real quarantine treat. I was talking to Mike Sleeth, and we were discussing how to set up drums and stuff like that for Instagram TV. He started posting videos, and then he posted this really cool, I guess you did like a Instagram share screen where you performed together and you started talking. And then I started to watch you performing alongside Shawn Mendes tracks and Alessia Cara tracks, and even Mike's earliest band, or his earliest recorded band, called Teeter. You've been doing all these really cool things, so it's been it's been really awesome to watch you over the last year grow and become this amazing drummer.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Ever since this whole quarantine situation started, my mom told me, Adam, just get off the video games and go do something. So I started recording these videos, and now I'm here, I guess.
That's amazing. So, earliest question, or the idea of, easy enough. When did you get into the drums?
It was around my 5th grade, maybe 6th, around my 5th grade year. I was probably about 9 or 10. I really liked the song. I used to love pop back in the day. So when Shawn Mendes came out with Stitches, I really was attracted to the drum part. So I looked up on YouTube of people playing along to this, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. Like the threat, like all the nice, like the clothing, the drums, the amount of different cymbals, and the versatility of it really caught my eye. So I went up to my grandma and I said, Grandma, I want to play the drums. So she set out probably 2 or 3 pots and pans. And I started banging away on them. About 50 seconds later, she's like, all right, that's enough. I'll ask your parents if they can sign you up for drum lessons. And ever since then, I've been working with my amazing drum instructor, Danny Chang. He's always taught me to believe in my hopes and dreams. And ever since then, I never put those sticks down, ever.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, I got to say that for someone your age, you play like a more mature musician. Was the drums something that came naturally to you from the beginning?
I felt like even though I didn't start until I was 9 or 10, I felt like I was born to play because even when I just picked up those sticks for the first time, they didn't feel weird or awkward. They just felt natural. And just like hitting the drums, it's such a great alternative to anything compared to like punching your wall out. I literally just play the drums to get all that energy or anger, whatever I'm feeling out of me. And it's a really good stress reliever too. And I just felt like I was born to play, and that's what I meant to do.
When you started working with an instructor, was that like basically from day one?
Yes, my first drum lesson, I learned how to play a simple quarter note beat, and I kept messing up over and over and over again. So then I don't know what happened. I just set up three little things, and I started like playing a quarter note beat. Next lesson, I had it down pat. So I was like, wow, I learned that pretty quick.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I got to tell you,
And
the first time I did a quarter note beat was at Mike Slay's house when he got his drums for Christmas. And I did that same thing where I couldn't coordinate everything correctly. And then he's like, "Oh, I'll show you how to do it." And he sat behind the kit, and it was magic. And I realized at that moment he might have a skill and a quality on this one I might not have yet. So I completely understand the idea of that quarter note beat and coordinating all your body parts to work together.
it's interesting, really. Once you get all the coordinations, like flipping hands and stuff like that, it's like, did I really just play that? It's like it's to the point now where like my brain literally just coordinates my hands. Like I'm not even moving them. My brain literally just coordinates them, and it's just like all these crazy fills happen. And that's how most of the stuff that I do, especially when it came to a lot of Sean stuff, was made up fills, like things I literally just put together. And yeah, I now some of them are just my go-to fills that I use for a lot of the covers and the music that I do.
Perusing your Instagram page, you perform with a bunch of artists. You reside in New York State.
Yep.
Bunch of your friends all play music too. What's it like to be growing up with a group of people all learning and figuring this out together?
I mean, I've played in probably two or three bands now, and the two that I'm in right now, holy cow, these guys, for teenagers, they're absolutely insanely gifted and talented. My band, the Freedom Rockets, which is the rock band I play in, Jimmy, Andrew, and Luke, all these guys, they will get the show done no matter what the cause is, no matter what we're doing. They would go up on that stage and get it done. And that's the type of musician that I am. Like if someone gives me an opportunity for a show, I'll get up there and I'll get it done.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, that's so good to hear because that's what matters at the end of the day. With regards to SJC drums, something
Oh
that
yeah.
most teens don't have is drum endorsements. How did that come into play?
Ah, it's an interesting story. I was probably in I was probably going into eighth grade, and this summer I went into the drum shop, Alto Music, and there was this guy working there. His name is Dan. I've known him for typically the start of my career because my grandma told me about, because she lives like literally right near the Alto Music drum store, and she told me, hey, there's this drum store. Do you want to go in there and maybe check out the drums or something like that? And so the first day I went in there, Dan was there. So I went in there probably 2, 3 years later to buy a cymbal. And I was there at the right place, the right time. And Dan pulled me aside and said, hey, the guys of SJC and Frank Zuma are coming into town. Would you be, and they're having like a local undiscovered drummer open the show with Frank. Would you be interested in that? Without hesitation, I said yes. And a month or two later, I went back to the music store. Dan introduced me to Frank Zuma. I was a little intimidated because this was like my first time meeting someone famous, but really he just came up to me, shook my hand, and said, hey, what's up, man? Dan showed me to the kit that I was playing for the night, and literally we had about 1 or 2 hours because we finished sound check or whatever it was,
Mhm.
like to get everything set up right. Me and Frank had probably about a 1 or 2 hour discussion just behind the kits about life, about tour, about drums, how to make it big in the industry, all that stuff. And ever since that night, all I ever wanted to be was a drummer.
That's awesome. And the kit you're playing is so beautiful.
These guys at SJC, there's a reason why I play them over any other drum company in the world, because these guys are absolutely incredible. When I say this, I mean absolutely. The guys, Zach, Travis, Mike, Jason, and their whole crew up at SJC, they are so down to earth and so nice and so kind, and they treat their artists with respect, and that's what I appreciate about them. Not only that, but their drums are absolutely killer and they sound great.
What's it like? I mean, the dawn of when I was your age, social media wasn't a thing the way that it is now. You, especially because of COVID-19, we're stuck in the house. I'm sure that you'd be out gigging more if you could. What is it like to have idols or celebrity drummers join you in chats and you get to perform alongside them?
It's absolutely insane, in my opinion. I posted, well, starting off with Mike Sleeth, I posted a small cover of me doing Lost in Japan, and I tagged him in it because I saw him play with Shawn Mendes at the Prudential Center, which that in Madison Square Garden is my dream to someday play. And I was really inspired by the live version, so I posted that in like April, not thinking he would see it. He saw it, he commented it, and reposted, and that's when I really started getting some of the attention. And I was like, this is insane. Like, did this happen overnight? And literally, I was in shock because he saw it. I didn't think he would actually see it because he's playing with one of the biggest pop artists in the country. And not only that, he's an absolute beast behind the drums, and I really didn't think he would see that video, but turns out he saw it and he reposted it, and a lot of people liked it.
Well, I got to tell you, Adam, that we just had an experience where one of our camera guys saw your face and went, "Oh, I know you." Like, what's really cool is in the Toronto community of musicians, or especially in my friend group, you've struck a chord with us all. And when Mike posted the video of you, I can't tell you how many people have hit me up and talked to me about you. And I'm really excited for you to come to Toronto one day and to play a show. And what I can tell you is that you have a built-in audience here in Toronto. That's for sure.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I got one last question for you. I've been watching your videos now for about 10 months. Are you having a growth spurt, or are you just changing your camera angles?
I have been having a growth spurt ever since the beginning of quarantine. I don't know how it happened. I don't know why it happened. I'm just like, okay.
Because honestly, like at the beginning of this, you were, as most like 14, 15-year-olds are, like the drums are looking a little bit big on them. And all of a sudden, I've just saw you're manhandling those things now. And super cool.
Thank you.
Thank you also for contributing that amazing video for our holiday medley. You are incredibly punctual. You really take this seriously. We asked you if you would do a drum cover because we wanted to get some specific little drummer boy-esque music into our holiday special we did on the Sounds Like Songs Network. Adam, you had a video to us, I think, within the hour, which was incredible. But we really appreciated it, and I think it highlighted our holiday extravaganza, that's for sure.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Thanks for asking me.
And we look forward to not only what you are to continue to do in your early career. I'm very excited to see what continues to happen to you. And let's keep in touch and let's keep documenting what I think is going to be an excellent career in music.
All right. Thank you, Mr. McDonald.
Awesome. Adam, that was amazing.
Thank you.
Dude, that was great. It's very nice to meet you in person as well.
Nice to meet you through a camera.
I know.
But
that's right. But seriously, I got to tell you, like sometimes you post videos and I'm looking through the comments and, it's like the lead singer in Teeter, or it's friends of mine. And we haven't been doing so many things in person, but there have been a couple of opportunities where people have just been like talking about you. And I think that it's been really cool to see, but it's also been just a fun experience. And it is awesome to see how well, we're all talking about this 15-year-old drummer in New York, and it's pretty cool.
It is, definitely.
So, man, well, continued success. If you ever need anything, we want to do a podcast again, hit me up. We'll stay in touch, obviously, electronically. And one day we will meet in person.
Looking forward to it.
You got it, man. All right. Thanks, Adam. I hope you have a good morning, and thanks for doing this. Our next guest is a really cool artist from Toronto. Her name is Dellen Gray. I connected with her over Instagram. I think she messaged me, and I heard her music, and I just thought, what a great guest to have on. And she did not disappoint. The bittersweet thing, and I'll let you in on this, is doing these mini episodes was hard to stop. And Dellen was no different than the other three in that regard. There's so much untapped potential in this artist. It's so cool to see what they're going to do. And to give you a little sneak peek to, I'm sure we will be doing a full episode in the near future. But without further ado, here is the one, the only, Delyn Grey. Dellen, thank you so much for being on the podcast. You had sent me a message a couple of months back on Instagram. Since then, I've listened to your music. It's really good. It's really beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
I wanted to ask, well, so you've released 4 songs in 2020. What's it like to release music during a pandemic?
Oh, man. I don't even know. It's really weird. Normally, we're releasing music and jumping onto like a slew of live shows. And it just didn't happen this time. So it's weird. We have to engage our fans socially and well, online, I guess. And yeah, it's just weird, but it's great. We've gotten good feedback and stuff, which is awesome.
Well, I gotta say too, the songs that you've released, there's kind of like, each one has its own thing, and it's cool that you released it as singles. But I wanted to ask, because I hear certain things in your music, but before I kind of pin what I think on it, what do you think? What are your influences, in particular for these 4 releases?
Yeah. I don't want to sound like every single other artist who gets asked this question, or at least every artist that I've heard so far. Amy Winehouse is a huge influence of mine. Nirvana as well. Kind of, I like thinking of my music as being kind of, I guess, a bridge between those two. Throw some U2 in there as well. Maybe a bit of Janis Joplin and Emily Haynes for sure. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
It's interesting you say those. First off, I hate the question I asked. I don't like asking it, but just with your music, there was, especially in Battle, I was thinking like, this is like Adele meets Evanescence or something. And sometimes like references aren't particular to like what you want. Like I remember releasing music and people would say, oh, it sounds like this and this. And I'd walk away being like, I don't even like those bands.
Yeah.
So I noticed online you have a bunch of YouTube videos of you performing live. When did you start recording live? Or performing live, sorry.
Yeah, I started performing with that band in 2017. So it actually kind of met this producer in Toronto that year. And we started working together. He got those guys together and we kind of went from there. But I've actually been performing since I was 7. I joined a girls' choir and did that for 7 years. So performance has been part of my life for a little bit.
Oh, that's me too. I was a choir kid. It's a great way to get involved, and it turns out to be a really good skill set when you have to, when someone puts a mic in front of you.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a great experience. And it was cool to go from that to a live rock show. It's really strange.
Absolutely. Now, was there an antithesis or a moment to which you decided to get into the choir, or what was your first moment, or the first time music gripped you? Do you remember when that was?
My dad is a musician, and I may not have been aware of it at the time, but I actually saw an old video a couple months ago of me sitting on a hotel bed and my dad serenading me with his acoustic guitar. And you could kind of just see this. I don't know. I was completely mesmerized. And I feel like that was probably one of the biggest moments for me early on, when I kind of knew like, wow, music has this whole other hold on me. Nothing really moves me the way music does. So that was it. And I think most of my big moments have been with my dad.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, and also what a great, as you're developing your artistic sense and stuff like that, what a great opportunity it is to have, someone in your household or someone you look up to that you can
Absolutely.
ask.
Yeah.
And not even just be like, is this good? But be like, how can I make it better?
Exactly. Oh my gosh. I had a lot of friends who wanted to be musicians as well when they were younger, and have since moved on to other things. But I remember them telling me when I was younger, like, your dad's so harsh with you. Why does he tell you should rewrite that lyric? Like, that's what you wanted to write. No, this is the process. We have to make it better. You can't just assume that the first thing you write or the first melody you write is going to be it. You need to have criticism and other opinions, and it's only made my writing better in the end. So it is very special.
Were you able to handle the criticisms at first?
Yeah, I won't lie. It was hard. I think I was 10 or 11 when I brought my first song to my dad. And yeah, he said, look, this is really great, but I think you could make it better. Like, okay. I worked so hard on this. Are you not proud of me? But it was great. It was great. We just had a lot of writing sessions.
Well, I think it's really cool because it gives you the opportunity for like exponential growth. And instead of, maybe toying around with this song for a couple of years, thinking you have it all figured out, you were kind of knocked off that feeling pretty early on. And that's a great thing to experience. But the lesson might be learned eventually, kind of thing.
Absolutely. I think it kind of comes down to taking the ego out of the equation as soon as you can. And that's when you start writing authentic music. I'm a strong believer that, I know it sounds hokey, but the songs find you, and you're really just a vehicle for them to find their path. And so by taking my ego out of it, I want to be a rock star. I want to be famous. I want the Billboard, whatever. I write these really cool songs that I connect with on another level. And all I want them is to live the life that they want to live. I feel like a parent, right?
Well, that's amazing. That's a really great way to look at it. And I got to say that the idea of removing the ego is something that I think a lot of people, I mean, it might be easier now in like a pandemic time, because when you're writing songs and performing them on stage, sometimes, or like especially, the at the very beginning, like people are congratulating you for the courage to do something like this, and they're not actually telling you or enjoying the material. And this disconnect starts to happen because you all of a sudden are feeling really self-assured. And what they're really saying to themselves is like, congratulations, but like, I'm not actually going to listen to this while I'm like working out at the gym. Like, it's cool you're doing this, but I'm here to support you. Whereas what you really would like is someone to come and see you perform or listen to your music and be like, I like this. I like this for me. And people put themselves into it.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I've had a few followers on Instagram reach out, particularly when Battle was released, and just said, this is my song. Thank you for writing this song for me. And that's all I could ask for.
That's really cool. And Battle is a really great song.
Thank you.
It sounds very mature. And
thanks.
What I mean about that is that there is not a lot of, like, what's cool about your songs is that, as you said, like, you've removed the ego from it. There's not a lot of extra stuff in your songs. And it's really great that you use, it's not minimalism, but you're not trying to sneak anything by anyone either, which means that the song has to kind of stand the test of time, you can't take a shortcut in anything, because the way that you're writing songs, if there's a bad lyric, it's very apparent. And I've listened to it 4 times today. The first time I meant to, and then I just hit repeat, which is awesome.
Thank you. That means a lot. It's kudos to my dad for that, because one of his biggest things when I was growing up was, if you can't strip your song down to an acoustic or just piano song and still capture or captivate the audience the way you would with the full production, there's a gap that needs to be filled somewhere, whether it's lyrically, melodically, but it should stand on its own.
So we're entering a new year, 2021. Unfortunately, it's looking a lot like what we experienced last year. What do you have in store?
Lots of new music. I have been holding on to several children and waiting for the perfect time to release them. But I'm pretty much certain that there's not going to be a perfect time to do so. So I think all of them just need to be set free this year. And I'm actually starting with one that several followers of mine on Instagram voted for. I launched a poll earlier last week and sent 2 tracks over. Said, hey guys, which one do you want to hear first? And they chose a single called Ghost Town. And I'm really excited for it to come out. It'll be end of January for sure.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Our next guest is also from Toronto. Jong Lee is a musician, songwriter, fantastic artist. He has these dreamy songs. And I believe that Brian Leung, producer of All About the Song, as I mentioned in the intro, met Jong over Facebook, the Toronto Entrepreneurial Marketplace group, I think is where they met. But when Brian and I first started working together in the summer, he mentioned Jong. We got on a call together or a group thread. And since then, I've really, really dug his music. It's so beautiful. It has and I say this in the intro, but it has these Mac DeMarco vibes. His songwriting is fantastic. His guitar playing is supreme. Here is Jong Lee. Jong, thank you for being on the podcast, and congratulations on your new single, Tangled. How does it feel to have that song out in the world?
Hey, thanks for having me here. The song is one of my favorite songs that I've released, and a lot of people find it to be a lot of my listeners have told me it's been healing for them, and they relate with what I'm saying in the song. So it's amazing to do that.
Well, it has I hate to generalize songs and just try to figure out what else it sounds like. You know what I mean? That's the first thing that everyone does.
Of course.
Of course. I did this to sound like myself. But it has these cool Mac DeMarco kind of vibes to it, and it has
I love Mac.
But and the reason I would say that, especially so early in our conversation, is because it's not it has that same feel when you listen to his music, where it's it's like wearing a warm blanket, and I feel you really it's a song you can just groove to, walk down the street, forget about your credit card bill or whatever. You just chill, which is really cool.
Yeah, I didn't know I was gonna be coming on the podcast to be complimented all day.
That's what I do. But no, I think you've done a really good job. I think that this song is absolutely fantastic. But what's this pandemic been like? Has this been a really good opportunity for you to release music? Or because it seems like you've been very prolific over this last little while.
Yeah, I've been releasing music almost every month since the pandemic. I mean, I started releasing music in May 2020, and I released, I think, 12 songs last year. So yeah, I'm trying to release a lot of songs. Even though we can't play shows, it's okay to release music. I think people are chill anyways, and they'll listen to the music if you put it out. At least my followers will, or whoever likes me, I guess.
Well, I think that over this period of time, the duality of live music and recorded music is becoming a lot, is separating continually because, you know, when you release a song, like the most common idea would be is play a live show, and now you can't.
Right.
So
Right. Be like release a song, do a release show, sell some merch or something. That's like the cycle that people usually do. But we now can't do any of that except just release music.
has that changed the way that you look at the music you're releasing?
No, I mean, I haven't released much music until recently, so I can't say I've never done a release show in my life, anything like that. I just done like small shows around the city, but I've never done a release show, so I have no idea what that feels like. So it hasn't changed much.
Well, that's really cool. Was this pandemic kind of like, was this a launching pad for you in a sense?
No, I've been doing the Peace Luffe project for maybe almost 2 years prior to the pandemic happening. But the pandemic, I mean, there's so many negatives about it, but the silver lining would be that I got to just focus on songs and not going to live shows, not playing live shows and preparing for. I've been just focusing on the songwriting and trying to write the best songs I can without the distractions. Nice,
absolutely. You know, what's the thing that kind of gripped you into music, and is there like a moment or like in your youth or something that got you realizing that this is something that you wanted to do?
Yeah, so I started like most Korean households. I started in violin, classical music. Nice. I ended up majoring in that in college and university, and halfway through I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. But I was like already halfway through, and I was like, I should just finish this. And I ended up finishing it. But during that time, it was like my ex-girlfriend broke up with me at that time. Then my other band I was playing guitar for broke up. So I was like, I have all these song ideas. I don't know what to do with them. And at that time I was trying to find a singer. But I couldn't find a singer that could that I wanted. So I ended up just picking up singing myself. And that's where it started. That's how it started.
Well, I'm glad you didn't find a singer because you have a beautiful voice. Like
Thank you.
It works. Like it's really cool. I think you have like a really great sound and well, I'm actually really curious about this violin. So do you still play the violin?
Yeah, I do it in a lot of recordings. Like Tangled has violins in it. A lot of new songs that I'm recording have violin in it. So it wasn't totally useless, I guess, to continue. I'm recording it at home, so it's perfect.
Nice. Well, I play in 2 bands centered around violin, which is not something I expected to do in my life, but it is where we're at. And I also produce a classical radio show every Wednesday, CIUT 89.5, The Sound of Your City. It's classical underground, something I also didn't expect to do. So I have this whole life around the violin. Wow. And it is such an unbelievable instrument, but there's such a focus and dedication that I don't think you get when you are a guitar player first and foremost, for example.
Yeah, I would say like the learning curve for guitar and piano is so much easier than violin. Because violin doesn't have frets. It's like a lot harder to make it sound better or in tune.
Well,
I would say.
Also, it's like you go from being horrible at it to like you sound bad until you sound good. Whereas you pick up
there's no middle.
No, I played the acoustic guitar in strings in high school, and oh my gosh, it was horrible. Like all the neighborhood dogs were at the window howling along. It was terrible. Like because it's such a hard instrument to just pick up. Like I don't know, you may know better, but I don't think anyone just picks up the violin and is good at it. Like I
don't think so.
I think everyone sounds like, you know, a cat in heat, just you know.
Speaking of cat, is there a cat in the background?
Yes.
Do you have a cat? I saw a cat. I thought something moving. I was like, what is that? I thought it was a cat. Speaking of a cat.
No, he's still there. It's my cat,
Amazing.
Mortimer. He doesn't pay much attention to me until I start recording a podcast. And then he jumps on my lap. And when we did podcasts recordings in person, he would always jump up on the table, like in the middle of the guest and like start drinking the water out of the glasses and like, you know, everything you want to happen while you're trying to be like so laser focused with, you know, an interviewee or an interviewer. It's like
Yeah.
he that's when he wants my attention most. So
How
it's
convenient.
but with this classical background and the extensive learning that you did on this instrument, what did it do for the elements of songwriting that you have? Do you think it was a help or a hindrance?
It's more, I would say it's more of a production thing instead of songwriting. Because songwriting happens for me, like, you can't really play chords on violin, really. So like my songwriting process is usually just starting with guitar or piano.
Yeah.
And the violins is just like a layer. And it's never like a really solo violin or anything like that. It's more of like a texture of like harmonies and stuff. So it just adds to the song opposed to, building a song from it.
Do you think that that's interesting to say? Because I, especially in Tangled, like you're able to add so much depth to the song. And I imagine that that's like, I don't want to say a cheat code, but I think it's really cool that you can take you can focus on the songwriting in the sense that you know that you're able to add this depth to an idea in the end. Like that's a very powerful skill to have in a sense for a songwriter.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I didn't really think of it that way.
Wow, because who doesn't like the violin?
Yeah, it just sounds so nice, especially if you put some reverb on it, on the production, and take out some of the high end of it. It just sits so nicely in the mix to me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's always like that feeling when you're like riding the bus somewhere or something, and then you hear that violin, you're like, oh, don't start crying in public. Like so with everything that you're doing, what do you have coming up? Are you looking forward to? It's hard to look forward to anything right now as we're in a stay-at-home order, but are you
Yes.
musically, what do you have do you have anything coming up?
Yes, I have another EP coming up next month-ish, maybe later next month or maybe early June. It's just constantly writing music, and I don't know, I feel like I could just release it like relatively quick. So yeah, like next month, end of next month.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jong.
Thank you.
I'm really glad to have you on the podcast. Where can people find your music if they are so inclined?
You can find it if you Google Peach Luffe, peach like a fruit, Luffe, Luffe. You can find it on all social medias, all streaming platforms, and that's where you find me.
Amazing. Thanks, man. I really appreciate this. Our final guest today on the podcast is Nelson Sobral. He has released a new song called Pendulum. We talked about his career to date on an episode about a year ago at the beginning of this pandemic when we were audio only. So it was nice to get Nelson's face on our YouTube channel, and it was good to catch up with him. Nelson also hosts a open mic night, which is absolutely fantastic in Toronto at the Painted Lady on Monday nights. And they have absolutely massive talent, but it's such a encouraging environment. We talk all about it in the episode and the potential and the future of open mics and what they mean for artists. I think it's a tremendous thing that Nelson does. And on top of that, he's a great artist himself. Watching him on stage playing with all the artists is fantastic, and his songwriting is equally matched. So everyone, our final guest today on our experimental episode, here is Nelson Sobral. Nelson, congratulations on the new single Pendulum.
Thank you.
How does it feel to have it out?
It feels really good, man. The last time we spoke, I put out a single last June, and then I had all these singles prepared and ready to go, and then life just kind of got in the way. We're in the middle of that lockdown, obviously, that we still are in, and I just took a bunch of lefts and rights with different projects, and I kind of lost focus. The wife got pregnant. A bunch of things happened.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then at the beginning of the year, I was like, what am I doing? I lost track again. No, I'm back on it. So there's 3 singles plotted out for this year, and it just feels good to have new music out. And it feels good to be on path again, on course.
Well, this song is really great. And I wanted to particularly mention the horn section in the middle. Like,
Yeah.
that is just incredible.
Yeah, I'm very lucky to have talented friends. My friend Selçuk Suna, he plays for the Royal Conservatory of World Music. He's a Turkish saxophonist and clarinetist, and he's a pal and a buddy of mine that I can call for. Oh, something just crawled in through your window.
Oh,
Is that your cat?
that's Mortimer. Yeah.
Awesome. So my buddy Selçuk, he doesn't really need to be playing with a scrub like me, but like he's a pal. He digs my music, and I can send him tracks. And he's got his own home studio. The beauty of us all in this day and age. And I love the fact that he plays these horn lines because of the Turkish influence. The scales are a little bit different. The phrasing's a little bit different than like North American jazz kind of people. I mean, it's still the same notes, it's just the way they attack them. So I love the way he plays on stuff. It's got a little bit of a flavor that normally I don't get. And yeah, man, I love horns on rock music, man. Like, you know, we've forgotten about that big band sound that was such a part of music, you know?
Well, it has that E Street feel to it, which was really cool.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I think something that I it's funny how musical trends happen, and I had a lot of conversations lately about songwriting, composition, and especially in pop, and the diminishment of the bridge. There's no bridges anymore.
Yeah.
And when I heard Pendulum, what was really nice is it's like, oh, a flavor mid-song that adds so many elements and just flushes the whole idea out. Maybe the bridge isn't dead.
Yeah, I to be fair, I have to give credit for the bridge. I did not write a lick of the bridge. It's my pal, Maddie Leon, a phenomenal singer-songwriter in his own right. He's got his new album coming out April 9th. And I play in his band as a backup musician. And I was kind of stuck with the song. It was like verse, chorus. I had that horn section in my head for the solo section, but it just felt like it was just like here the whole time. Of course, the horn section part took it up, but it just felt like it was like, you know, it was a good groove, but it didn't have that bridge like you were saying. And I was like, man, I just passed the song off to him. I was like, if you come up with anything, just send it back. If it hits you, let me know. And he sent me back a voice memo of that bridge, note for note, lyric for lyric. And it was like perfect. I just dropped it into the song. Well, I learned it, I played it, and it fit perfectly. And it was like this, like you said, a different bridge, a different part of the song that flushed it out. I think we do miss those bridges nowadays. Like the Beatles were kings of that, you know, bringing in a middle eighth, as they call it, and changing the song completely. It's important, I think.
It very much is. And I think that, I mean, the Beatles were the absolute kings of that. Like they were able to, they almost went to that middle eight, like at the 1 minute mark, it seemed like they played this like it was like intro, verse, chorus, bridge, intro, verse, chorus, bridge. Like, and it's funny that music right now seems to be so streamlined. And I think it's an interesting thing because there are a lot of social media trends like TikTok and stuff that are kind of showing or maybe driving the direction of where music is going. I think that a song like Pendulum is reminding us that we might be cutting off our noses to spite our face in a sense.
Yeah, man, it's a thin line. I never want to sound like a fuddy-duddy saying like the music of today, blah, 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 blah. Because I think it's bullshit. I think there's so many, sorry for swearing. I think there's so many artists. I think the bandwidth is wider now of how many people are playing music and have the ability to put music out. As opposed to say the 60s or 70s, you know, there's like a smaller, you know, cachet of artists that you can pick from. So everyone's making music nowadays and, you know, like a huge percentage of it wants to be successful. So they follow a formula. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think you have the trick is you have to dig. And I know you do. And I know we all do is dig a little bit deeper to find those artists that are doing stuff. Oh, that's got a cool little part or a cello part or whatever, or find artists, you know, like, I think if, you know, like for a perfect example, like an artist like Chris Stapleton, who is a major artist, he's huge. You know, you can't get bigger than that. But he's got bridges, he's got choruses, he's got like that latest single. He's got like a vocal outro that does nothing. He's got a bridge that's just chord changes.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, so there are people out there, but I think you're right. Like the streamlined TikTok mainline pop front is very like systematic and formulaic. just like it's always been. And I think we'll be coming around in circles. And I'm never worried about music, man. I think there's always going to be some kid somewhere that's going to be playing something that's going to revolutionize stuff and bring back flavors that you like. So I think it's all going to be all right, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, in the spirit of this episode, something I wanted to ask you about is the open mic at Painted Lady. That is such a Toronto institution. You did it every Monday. Obviously, you haven't been able to do it for a year plus.
You've been doing it online the whole year, but yes.
How has it been to do it online? And I'm glad you are, by the way. I think that's it's very inspiring that you've been able to keep that community solid in a sense.
I'm trying, man. You know, it's hard. People got shit going on and people get, you know, it's not the same. You know, I do my own personal live stream every Friday at 6 p.m. And on Monday, I do the open mic one. For me, because there's nothing going on, it's a nice way to bookend my week and have stuff to kind of look forward to other than, you know, personal stuff. It's like, I got that gig on Friday. I got that gig on Monday. Yeah. It's been hard, but, you know, like you just said, a lot of people have been like saying back to me that it means a lot to them, and that's worth it alone just to hear that. And sorry, I kind of cut you off in terms of what you were going to ask me about the open mic scene and new artists coming up, but yeah.
Well, I wanted to commend you because we have a mutual friend, Juliana I, that released a single. Yes. And I know that for her, going to the Painted Lady was a huge step for her to gain the confidence to become the musician that she is today. And she's been able to get a lot of gigs, and she's been able to become like a bona fide professional musician. And she's just released her single, You Suck.
Which is awesome, by the way. Congrats, Juliana. So good.
Awesome. And also congrats to you for having to create an environment where people can go up and feel welcome and maybe work out the emotional kinks that they need to. Well, yeah. But I think, you know, I think I wanted to commend you on the open mic in general, but also the fact that you're doing it virtually, because as musicians, as artists, sometimes there are things that seem very simple to do, like release a song, and you've created a forum that allows people to cross that bridge and to take that massive first step. And I think that there's a, you know, the musical city owes you a debt in that sense, because you've done something that is truly, you know, it's not easy to do something every week as a guy that does a podcast every week.
Yeah. I mean, it is, you know, I don't want to bemoan and cry about it. It does become challenging. You know, I know I'm a hard ass, right? So I run a tight ship, and I do that so everyone gets a fair shake. So in the grand scheme of things, I'm a hard ass, and people can be like, oh, he was like rough with me, and he didn't let me do this or that. And I'm always looking at big picture. It's like, if I do you a favor and if I do you a favor, then the people that have been sitting there since 7 o'clock, they don't get their fair shake at the stage. They don't get their fair shake to, you know, like Juliana would come there and sit from 7 o'clock and wait to sign up. So somebody that strolls in at 8:45 just because they're so-and-so and they've played with this band or whatever, you know, oh, come on, man, let me play, you know. I could easily be like, yeah, man, of course, absolutely, you're blah, blah, blah. But like, that would be such bullshit to her and everyone else that's been waiting there from 7 o'clock. And this is an open mic. It's not a gig. It's not your gig. So, you know, I take a lot of flack for it in the grand scheme. So I appreciate you know, give me kudos, man. It does mean a lot. But yeah, man, I know how hard it is, because I came up on the blues scene, like playing like the open mic blues jams and getting my ass kicked by the older guys. And back in the day, people weren't as nice as they are nowadays. And I'm not saying they were mean to me, but it was like rough and tumble. It was like, plug your fucking guitar in, get your shit together. It's in the key of A. Come on, let's go. You know, get your shit together. Let's go. And I have that in me, you know, so I don't like, you know, people fucking around. Like, be tuned, be ready to go, get up on stage, get your shit ready, know what you're doing, play your song. And if you do that, you get this opportunity to play on a professional stage with professional sound person, with people listening, because I go around the room making sure people shut the fuck up and let you have a room to play to. And you get to work out all the kinks of a live gig. You know, the lessons you learn in that space are infinite. You know, like, did you tune? Small thing. Did you tune? No. How to sing into a microphone is huge. People don't know how to do that. How to play out of an amp, how to play with other musicians. We have a fully loaded stage, and I always comb the room for top-notch musicians, like yourself or whoever walks in, and I'm like, okay, I know this girl plays bass. I know this guy does this. I know she plays fiddle. I can get you a wicked band of musicians that will listen to you. Or do you want people to play with you? What an opportunity for you as an up-and-coming artist to play with, Alex St. Kitts on bass.
Yeah.
Who's, world-renowned bass player. You get to play with him. You get to have this experience of a guy who's gone on tour opening for Justin Timberlake to play bass with you on your 2 songs. That is infinite. So if you are willing to, get your shit together, get in gear, you are able to grasp this opportunity for you. And I want everyone to have that, because I got it handed to me from other people, and I want to pass it on. And I know how much it means to people. And the fact that it means that much to people means that much to me. So it's a circular thing, and I'm grateful for it. And I'm grateful that people feel that same way. And I love it. It's all just love.
I think that music is a live thing, is composition, everything. I feel like there are a lot of holes that other art forms have better, like comedy, for example. Going to an open mic you could be a theater headliner, and you still go to open mics because you still have something to work on. And I think artists, especially if you're in a band, you can get very, very caught up in just rehearsing and practicing in front of each other. And what you've developed, what you've created is something that is very, very important. And I think that a new wave of musicians is going to come forward and has come forward through events like the open mic at the Painted Lady. And I think that there's something you've done for the music community in Toronto that is, bigger than just a Monday night. You've given confidence to artists to pursue their dreams. And we're watching it happen with Juliana and Alex St. Kitts and everyone in it. And it's just, it's an incredible thing. And it's not easy to do.
No, it's not. I've taken a lot of shit for it from people, but big picture, it's all worth it, man. It's all good. For a couple of people to be a little bit pissy with me and a little bit annoyed that I rushed them onto stage or whatever, it's all good, man. Like the 99% that have like benefited and like gone on to good things and greater things, that just fills me with love, man. And that's a good thing, man. At the end of my life, I get to look back and say, yeah, that's a good feeling for me to have,
So Nelson, when's the next song coming out?
June, July, the same time my baby boy is coming out. Wow. I thought that would be a smart move. I obviously didn't think that out too much. It just seemed right. Like, oh yeah, this one came out in March. June, July is a good time. When's the baby coming? June. Okay, great. It'll be good. It'll all work out, man. It'll all work out.
I'd like to thank Adam Machado, Dellen Gray, Jong Lee, and Nelson Sobral for being on our action-packed 4-peat mini episode. We will probably do more of these in the future when we have a lot of guests we want to have on, and there's only just so much time. But it was really a challenge to keep these conversations to 10 minutes because, once you get talking, it's, there's no stopping you, especially when you're as passionate about music as these 4 artists are. Please like or subscribe and hit the notification button to our YouTube channel, the Sounds Like Songs Network. All About the Song comes out every Tuesday. If you would like to listen instead or in addition, check out Apple Podcasts, Spotify. It's All About the Song podcast. We are available everywhere. And if you could rate and review, that would be great as well. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions for a guest you'd like to hear on an episode, send us an email, allaboutthesongpodcast@gmail.com. Our website is www.allaboutthesongpodcast.com for past episodes, including Nelson Sobral's. And look out for follow-up full episodes with Adam, Dellen, and Jong Lee. It'll be sometime this year, but I could talk to all 4 of these people for hours and hours. And Nelson and I did. I don't think we'll put out the remaining 50 minutes of our conversation because it was kind of nice to just have an off-record conversation. But who knows? Maybe we'll be light one week and I'll run it by him and we'll put that out as a little tidbit for the listener because it was a fantastic conversation. And sometimes when you do this, like you have a candid conversation and you'll remember why you do the podcast. So yeah, I'll have to talk to Nelson about that. But for Adam, Dellen, Jong, and Nelson, I am Michael McDonnell. Episode 132 of All About the Song is in the books. We'll see you next week. Oh, you're going to put that in. Shoot. Okay, I won't do that.